Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, and other political giants have chosen the African Democratic Congress (AC) as their political home. No one is sure about their fate in their respective political parties. This is one of the biggest shakeups in Nigerian political history and is sure to produce more dramas as we move forward to 2027. Interestingly, some political heavyweights from Tinubu's All Progressive Congress (APC) have also thrown their weight behind the formation. How far will they go? Since it is a coalition of strange fellows with eye on the seat of power, who will step down for the other? Will the APC sit and watch? This and many more will tend to unfold on Political Cell today. I'm being joined by, first, Comrade Phyllis Ede. He is the Executive Director, Service Accord Initiative, lawyer, farmer, public affairs analyst. Comrade, you're welcome.
Thank you. My honor to be here.
I'm also joined by a legal practitioner, politician, and former deputy governorship candidate on the platform of APGA, and today a Labour Party stalwart. I'll start with you, Comrade. We are starting the program today on a mournful mood as we just lost our former president, General Muhammadu Buhari, who passed yesterday in a London hospital. I know you have a few words for him.
Well, like you already said, this is an period for Nigerians to lose one who had governed or ruled the country twice, first as a military ruler, then as a democratically elected leader. It's something that we definitely will miss him. I will first want to condole the family and to say may his death be one that will bring bond and national cohesion. Buhari definitely was a man who was seen to have integrity, even starting from his military area. But as a democratically elected president, I didn't think he quite understood the presidential system, compounded by politics of patronage, conflict, and compromise. Definitely these are things history we want to capture. But for now, we've lost a man that we would have wanted to see his perspective, maybe by way of memo, because without getting to his thought as to the challenges. I remember on one occasion saying he wished he was younger, which means there were things he would have done if he was younger. What is it that age debarred him from doing? But for now, Nigerians have missed a man.
Thank you very much. Barrister Obobe. Okay. You know, the reaction have continued to trail the formation of new coalition in Nigeria. ADC. That's what I'm referring to. How did it come to you?
Well, it didn't come to me as any surprise. It is consistent with the Nigerian political tradition. If you have followed the trajectory of politics in Nigeria, particularly after independence, you will discover that there was no time a party had gone it alone, and there was no time we didn't have people moving from one party to the other, particularly given the fact that ours have been a system where big parties are based on tribal lines. If you look at history, there were other smaller parties, but we were in the first, what we referred then as the first, remember, the Nigeria Northern People's Congress, the Action Group, than the NCNC, which is national in a way, given that it's the party that actually anchored the nationalist struggle. But post-independence and coming up to 1999, we've never had elections. People were not moving from one political platform or breaking away from where they were. So what is happening is consistent with history and consistent with the way politics has been conducted in Nigeria. So I don't see any surprise there, because politicians usually will mingle until the final day of the election before you will now know their strength.
Thank you very much. But you think they can all sit the APC?
Well, you see, the context through which I want to analyze this is that first is to acknowledge that we've always had deep-seated challenges in the Nigerian political system, particularly when it comes to election. In fact, we will begin to celebrate the wisdom of Murtala Mohammed, who in 1975 had insisted that the political pendulum in Nigeria should be designed in a way that is nationalistic. If you look at the First Republic, you will discover, if it were then the template with which the First Republic election was run, what we have now is a core northern political group coming together and saying that they want to go it alone, as happened under the Nigerian and Northern People's Congress. But because there was an amendment starting from 1999 that insisted that political parties had to be federal in character, at least they must be able to have representation in 2/3 states of the federation. You now have association of politicians pursuant to Section 4 of the Constitution, who definitely have to cross their own regional boundaries. But again, if you accept that the Nigerian political system is also monetized, if you also accept what we call structures, that governors that have won election in particular political parties are moving to the government at the federal system, and if you affect the fact that people are also demanding for electoral reform arising from the experiences of 2020, the question will be, with the basis to begin to think the group of politicians who got dismantled from where they were and came together will be able to unseat incumbents, except we see the formula they are going to use, and taking into consideration the level of apathy in our system. It's something I also want to learn on how they intend to do it. But for now, it's just about, even they have accepted, they are just trying to be born together. And if you also look at the contention among those that have gathered, their ambition, the first question will be, is it possible that if presidential candidates emerge, that with the zeal they have combined, all of them will also work to make that person president? I put this to mind, given that at the annulment of Abiola's election, I remember the late Musa Yar'Adua was asked, why is he not in the struggle of restoration of June 12th? And he said, well, that the man whose election was annulled will first make the move before he can join. So the point that somebody has emerged, are we going to say that those who lost will back him vehemently where they had promised? From now, I believe that it's going to be something, if it happens, there will be a new consciousness and change in the Nigerian political system, but I don't see it happening.
Thank you very much. I'd like to let us know that we're joined by Barrister Juke Ubube. He's a legal practitioner, one-time deputy gubernatorial candidate of APGA in Enugu State, and today a Labour Party stalwart. Barrister, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Let me first cue on your thoughts on the death of our former president, General Muhammadu Buhari. How did it come to you?
Well, I guess because considering his age, I won't take it as a surprise, but at the same time, because that is the role he has played in the this country. Until Nigeria made in 1962, but when he became the first governor of Borno State, and later the youngest Minister of Petroleum Resources, the court commissioner then. After he became the first chairman of NNPC, and then later, of course, he became the head of state. And people still have fond memories of his stint as the head of state. So Buhari's role in the history of this country is quite impactful. Of course, he's a man of paradox. He's a very controversial figure, and one cannot explain it away in just one program. But perhaps, like people argue, if Buhari had stopped his public service at Assembly of State, I think he should have been probably more kind, a little bit kinder to his persona, because if you now go to his service as a civilian president, many people agree that it's actually how not to be a president. So I want to condole the family, condole his political family, his friends and followers on the loss of this leader, Buhari. So I condole Nigerians on the loss and President of Nigeria as well.
Thank you very much. We condole with Nigerians. We'll be missing him. But now to the topic we're discussing. How did ADC come to you?
Well, I think for us, for us in the opposition, it's a bit of fresh air, because Nigeria has a rich history of coalition groups coming together. Like my counterparts on the panelists, my fellow panelists said, in the First Republic we had OPGA. Two political parties, mainly spearheaded by two main political parties, NCNC, CNC, and Awolowo's AG. They came together to contest and run against the MPC, then the ruling party. Then in the Second Republic, we had the Progressive Parties Alliance, if I recall, which was spearheaded by the late Dr. Azikiwe of NPP, Chefolo of VPN, late was of GMPP, and of course PRP. They came to form that against MPN. But probably the most successful coalition we have had in this country is the one that was formed in 2013, which was headed by the current president, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, the late Muhammadu Buhari. When the ACN, PDP, a rump of ABGA, and other political parties came to form the APC. For the first time, a coalition group successfully removed a ruling party, the DP. So now, with the treasure trove of what they call gifts from APC's incompetence, cluelessness, and lack of direction, I think a coalition party has a very strong chance of moving this government if they get their act together. So yes, I believe that if this party, with the personalities involved, experience the diverse areas of influence from different parts of the country, I think if they come together and put their acts together, they will achieve their objective to remove this government.
Thank you very much. They will achieve their objectives. They were very, very optimistic about the party. Quite optimistic. Okay. Comrade, is there anything the APC is doing to carry the people along to ensure that the coalition does not succeed in unseating them?
Well, I think the challenge of the Nigerian system remains the fact that I don't know how we are going to cure that mentality. The mentality of, even in democracy, centralization of consciousness and believing that we are still operating a unitary federal government. I do not think it That's what it should be. When you talk about government, particularly in the context of the Nigerian Constitution, we know aside the federal government, we have 36 states. We have 774 local governments. So when you now talk about what the APC is doing or not doing about the people, it's like trying to now bunch the whole governments together and begin to say, how has the people fared? The question remains that the government, because of the first degree, which came immediately before the commencement of the civil, Decree 1 by Ironsi, that tried to make Nigeria a unitary state, moving away from the regional we had. Even under the military, the centralization has continued. So in democracy, we've not had politicians who have been able to impact. Incidentally, the only man that tried it and succeeded remains also the president presently, because that was the only man that Obasanjo couldn't conquer. And like my brother Cody Scotland said, I do not see how you can liken the kind of nation that removed Jonathan, what we have now. First, you were talking about an entire Southwest. You were talking about a of PDP that moved away and called themselves PDP. You were also talking about a vice president who was then sitting that had aligned, had wanted to contest under Obasanjo and didn't. So the combination of forces then was such that they had the wherewithal, they had the structure. And mind you, we must take in context the circumstances of Jonathan's coming into office. But for the death of Yaradua, Jonathan, at the time he was recontesting, would have remained still a vice president. But when Yaradua died and the North felt such change, you knew the struggle before the doctrine of necessity came. And it was alleged that in that doctrine of necessity, the President Jonathan had actually entered into an agreement, to serve out one term. So if you combine all those, and the North felt that they needed to recover what they lost, the template is completely different. So if you are now talking, I don't want to begin to degrade the alliance, because my idea of coalition, which we've always had, is that coalition comes when parties has conducted the election and a winner had emerged, but is unable to form government and needed a coalition. We had it under MPN, MPP, and that was why, for the first time, I don't know whether people still remember, there's this politics Z continued to play that paid out. If you look at the First Republic, he played it, and he paid out with the alliance they had with MPC. In the Second Republic, he also played it, and that was why the Southeast, aside from producing the vice president of MPN under Kwame, still secured the Speaker of the House, Umezuoke. So when you combine all this, and you want to now relate people who felt disgruntled, and they have not even moved with any party, I'm not sure that there is any party that have joined. The aspect that is paining me is that the ADC ought to be a party we ought to celebrate it now as a combination with ABGA. But that the fact that our own brother, who before now had presided over the party without convention, decided to hand over the entire structure to a section with whom I know we have not worked politically. I do not see how we can benefit moving on. But I can tell you that the combination we'll have now, I don't want to say they won't go far, but we are yet to begin to see how they can do it. And one thing that has happened is that before now, look at all the combinations. Even in the last election, the South-South has always provided a kind of deep pockets. The South-South. And the one that tried to play with Atiku, that got the vice president, talking about Delta Axis, had just moved to APC. Because at the end of the day, let's not forget that the Nigerian political structure, that the challenge we have, even as electorate, has been the monetization of the Nigerian politics. So who is going to fund the ADC? That will be the first question. Once you begin to look at the funding, then we can begin to talk about it. But if it's about people who are gathering because they felt disgruntled and they felt that they were not accommodated where they are, it is luck for them. But I am asking, I don't want to talk about APC. I am saying that those who are in Labour, those who are in PDP, who were elected, are moving into APC. And those who are disgruntled in APC are moving away to a party that does not control even councillor. And you are saying they are galvanizing. But wonders shall never end.
Well, I'll get back to you. And I would like to ask you whether you're thinking that they are not going to have enough funding and then they won't be able to build strong structures down the line. And that's why you think they won't go too far. But just before I do that, Barrister Bube, you heard what he said. I want to ask you, how do you think the coalition will be able to reshape the country's political landscape?
Before I go into that, I want to address some things that my co-founder is raised. Mr. The last point he made about who will fund the ADC. If you recall, each political situation in Nigeria presents a peculiar challenge. Now, for instance, now in 2013, when the ADC was still in the formation stage, there was this belief that is pointed out that the Northern not face changed. The fact that was their turn to bury the president. So they are galvanized, they came and formed the party, and 4 candidates ran against 3 presidents against Buhari in the primaries. Kwakwanso, Atiku Abubakar, and Rochas Okorocha. So it was contested, really. They ran, and Buhari narrowly defeated Kwakwanso, really, as a matter of fact. It wasn't a clear-cut victory. So now, presently now, the present challenge they have now is that the ADC, obviously, is being strategic. They want to tap into the outreach and instrument of northern political elites in ensuring that they come together to form a coalition against Tinubu. You see, the issue of funding the ADC is a no-brainer, because Peter Obi successfully proved Nigeria that you don't need money to run a political party. When he emerged as a local candidate in 2022, his mantra was, "I will give no shishi in Nigerian parliaments." And people were, of course, it was ridiculed. They said, "Oh, I mean, this guy's the joker. How can he do that?" And to prove it, in Lagos State, for instance, where the president comes from, he was able to defeat the president. Even PDP said, what I imagine that was officially reported, but it was the president without the councillor. There no councillor in Lagos State, no House of Assembly member, no House of Rest member, no senator, no governor, but we were able to defeat him in his. So the man, why does Tinubu Obi have so much appeal? Because he has come to a different message, saying that, look, we don't need to be international in our politics. Nigerians are testing for good governance, transparency and accountability. And he's determined to show that Nigerians can do without being orderly burdened with all sorts of financial inducements. His message is simple: let our our industry move sources of production in the real sector and other places in Nigeria. Why Tinubu, of course, and Co, they're using patronage and financial inducements to sell their mantra. Now, we have in Nigeria presently a government that has continued to show some form of, I would say, disconnect with the populace. Their policies, if you recall, last week, the IMF, their enabler, released Article 4, commended for some of the reforms they made, but they said, look, these reforms are yet to impact on the real sector in Nigeria. They have failed to use these reforms, have failed to reduce poverty
It has even increased public expenditure. So how will you translate this into this to promote what they call human capital development? So even IMF that has been able to actually indicted them for running the economy in a very, very, very poor and competent manner. So now ADC has a platform, has something to sell to Nigerians. And look, we can do it better. Peter has said in his last interview that said, look, Nigeria's wealth is not in the oil industry. It is in the arable lands in the north, the vast arable land in the north. That this is a treasure trove that we are yet to exploit. Nigeria can turn his matter is from consumption to productivity, and that Nigerians are yet to tap into human potential. And no government, and he has shown a clear cut plan how to actualize this. He's ready to serve Nigeria from day one. He given the opportunity to serve. This government has borrowed over how many billions of naira now since they came into at present our debt this year is now about almost $140 trillion. That grew from $93 trillion under Buhari in just 2 years. Increase that they provide in just 2 years. They are about to borrow $21.7 million to pay to service our debts. Between July 2023 and now, this government has spent $2 billion on our debt refineries. And recently we said that they might sell it. But in November, we are told that Nigeria's refinery will be ready by January of this year. That particular refinery is ready for production. By January to start production. Now, in May, Ojulari, the current NPC chairman, is saying that look, that they might have to don't review our refineries. But I'm going to say 2 days ago said that Nigerian refineries might never be able to produce again. So deception, lies, and all sorts of propaganda are being used as state policy at the expense of Nigerians. So ADC has a treasure trove of reasons and opportunities to sell their matters to Nigerians. With compared to it, yes, the opportunities are there. APC government is a disaster, and ADC has a right, has opportunity to exploit it. The benefits. Well, I talked about funding structure, and you're saying the ADC have no chances of building enough structure to be able to unseat the present administration.
No, you see, I'm a student of history. I wasn't just making an opinion. I am telling you the trajectory with which the Nigerian election has been conducted over the years. Let us also not mistake the fact we begin to look at metropolitan politics and use it as a yardstick. The Labour Party, I don't want to call names like P2B, tried to win Lagos, but Zik won Lagos and was almost heading to be Prime Minister of Western region before the infamous Clyde crossing. So that didn't even get as much as Zik went, you know. But there is one point which is even a bit misaligned. The narrative about P2B and the ADC is being anchored on the fact that maybe P2B is likely to get the ticket. But if he doesn't, is whoever emerges, we already know them, is it Atiku that will begin now to narrate P2B's integrity, or is it Amechi? You know, they are still trying to lobby Kwakwanso, but I know Kwama is a smart politician on that angle. But let me also give you another narrative which people should not be deceived, and that is where I will want the Southeasterners to be smart. The question will be, given what happened between the North and Jonathan, because if we are talking about change, we are talking about political actors, and politics is driven by vested interest. Is the North likely to want to trust a Southerner, because this is now not about individual? With another 4 years, they are likely to begin to contest whether the man will exit, or the man will still have a constitutional role. Even when I know that there are Northerners who are looking forward that no matter what Tinubu is doing, we can only bear 4 years before the power returns to us. It happened even on the issue of zoning. If you remember, some of us then, I was saying that the idea of zoning to the south was perverted. It was wrong, because zoning was only accommodated in PDP constitution, not any other party's constitution. But when PDP decided to flout its own constitution, what the Tinubu and co did was to now hijack that narrative of zoning, because often people misconstrue federal character with zoning. Federal character is about appointments enshrined in the constitution. Zoning isn't. And when it came, rather than the southeast insists that zoning ought to be in line with what Ekweme has suggested, the 6th geopolitical zone, and the argument would have been that its zoning ought to be southeast, north central, and northeast. Assuming it had gone that trajectory, there is no way the southeast wouldn't have produced the vice president. So the question in this analysis of rhetorics about whether our refinery worked or not, which, you know, if we had time, I would have taken you to the history of how Nigeria lost it in when they had the Israeli-Arab war, you know, and Syria and Egypt was already winning Israel before the intervention of America, that now shot up the oil price from $3 to 12. That was the era Nigeria had money that they couldn't manage, and we left agriculture and production. So, but the point I want to make is that in politics, the way Nigerian politics operates has been anchored. Do you think that the North that have played with APC will want to do another bargain with an Atiku or with an Obi, or stay through where they are? But I didn't want to reduce that narrative to the level. I want us to, we say that the political system in Nigeria is not working. And I'm saying that those changes that would have made meaning to it to work, for us to now anticipate that, okay, this is ideology. You know, because we shouldn't discuss people. We should discuss institutions. And when you now talk that Nigeria is not working, I've told you, we have 36 states. We have 74. This is the same president that have tried to do an executive order in order for the local governments to work. And the governors gathered and said no. And you say, okay, we'll go and run then. But the point I'm saying is that the system we are running, I've not seen what this combination, alliance of political people who are vested by hostility, who are combined by hostility, not by ideology. And this is still at the level of Abuja, at the level of actors who, once they lose out in what they are scheming, cannot bring in their own money to fund who is likely to fly the point. That's the point I'm making. But I'm trying to tell you, given why power have to shift, for which El-Rufai actually played a critical role. I don't know how he fell out with the leadership of APC, but the fact is that everybody agreed it was the turn. In fact, Nigerians believe that it ought to have been the town of Southeast. But let me now tell you where I think we have to play smart. If we don't play the politics we need to play to get the next vice president, and with what is happening in South already, and eventually APC gets it, mind you, what it will mean is that when it's going to the South, that was exactly the problem the Southeast had with Buhari about the number of voting, and people were talking about marginalization, and the man was saying, which is politics, is he not where I got votes, I should compensate first. So I don't want us in a situation where we rush out when we now make mistake. We want to return to constitution. That is our right. So what I'm saying is that this is the time we should sit down and look at the Nigerian politics. It has never happened. If PDP had kept to its zoning, we wouldn't have found ourselves in this situation we have found ourselves. But because PDP made that mistake and Jonathan was not smart, that was the first time in the history of Nigeria an alliance ensued between the North and the West. It has always been the North and the East. Let's not make that mistake again.
There is also this rumor that your party is trying to woo Kwankwaso. But that will handle.
Kwankwaso is a smart guy.
After we have this little break, this short break, we'll handle that. Let's take a break.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
With a population of about 36 million people, the Southeast is awash with stories. Every day on Southeast News, we tell the peculiar story of the Southeast and her people.
Our Southeast should be the Silicon Valley of Nigeria.
Their successes, achievements, and daily challenges. Do you have a Southeast story to share? Community achievements and challenges, completed and uncompleted projects, bad roads, water scarcity, erosion, flooding, insecurity, or even disagreements? Bring it on to Southeast News. On Southeast News, no story is too big or too small. Southeast News. Let's tell our story. Showing on Signature TV every weekday at 4 p.m. WAT, 1600 hours GMT.
We are local.
The international community is observing every
Just finished taking
why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended say aye. Aye. We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome back. You're still on Political Circle on Signature Morning. Our topic is coalition of political parties and their chances. And I'll get to Barrister Obobe. You have a lot of strange bedfellows. How do you intend to contend with it? Because all of them have one objective, the seat of the presidency. And I believe that if some of them fail to get it, there might be some problem.
Well, thank you. I recall this same scenario being raised when EPs were being formed in 2013. Scaremongering, trying to discourage the person involved, that how can they be a ruling party, it's not possible, that PDP is a behemoth, things like that. Political contest is about straight bedfellows, realignments, interests, not about friendship. I'm glad my governor has mentioned the issue of the role that Rufai played in ensuring that our peculiar political situation, which recognizes zoning, was actually implemented prior to Tinubu's emergence, that power is between North and South. And even though it's in the PDP constitution, it's not a convention in Nigerian politics that we should, power should relocate from North and South. And it's not about personality, it's about the geographical area. So politics also, like business, also about taking gambles too, taking chances. There is this, like you said, this strong yearning by Southeasterners that is their turn to rule this country, and they felt deprived by the shenanigans of some personalities, including particularly the Atiku and the rest of them, when they scuttled the chance of presidential what they call it, the post of presidential candidate being zoned to south, and then southeast particularly. And now the same personality Atiku is now in the coalition, obviously trying to also contest for elections. You see, in politics, you go with what can help you the most. You go with advantages. What can make you more sellable? And I think the political coalition will be most unwise not to utilize their biggest and strongest selling point, which is B2B. I am talking about personality because at this election we have personalities. If you look, for instance, now, why is the federal government so fidgety, so comfortable about P2B? There are trolls, there are also paid what do you call it? Advisory proxies have been attacking P2B. Anything P2B does is blown out of proportion. Any small thing, that any misstep or perceived misstep is seen as point of weakness. But one thing that P2B has going for him is that each time he's attacked, each time he's denigrated, actually makes him stronger. And this will know that this man is the only person that can make a difference if he emerges as candidate of ADC. Politics is about, like I said, it's about taking chances and also it's a risky venture. And P2B for me is one of the few persons in ADC, in the coalition, the emerging coalition, that has already, that's Buhari, has block votes, in the sense that he has an organic followership across the country, not just in one region. He is a man that, against all expectations, within 8 months, joined the political party. I was able to get 6.2 million votes, official votes anyway. I was able to challenge PDP that got about 6.8 votes. This is the first time, the first government in Nigeria that won by minority votes. APC got about 31% of the entire votes. Less than Labour and PDP. So there's a chance for ADC through P2B to exploit and win the election for Nigerians. Because Nigerians are aiming for a better government. P2B has shown that he is ready from day one to run and run this country and deliver even in 4 years. He has already expressed his willingness, his determination that he feels that he can make a change in 4 years, that he won for one term. In the interest of Nigerians, to make the interest of the polity, to ensure that, look, that nobody feels cheated, that in 4 years I can make a difference. He was in Egypt, for instance, after the election, saying that, look, he went to Egypt, he went to Indonesia, he went to Bangladesh. Said, look, for instance, the power sector is not rocket science. The power sector this government has totally failed to develop this country. That he can do that within a given time, within that 4 years. He said that Egypt invested so much money, how many billions of dollars in power sector, within 4 years, able to stabilize and ensure that the power sector in the country was functional. So it will be unwise, like I said earlier, for it is not to utilize this opportunity, this chance, because politics about what can win you votes, what can help you market your policies better, what can help you get people's interest, people's confidence in your abilities. And I think it is the magic wand that ADC has to make sure that Nigerians react and give them power in 2027.
Just a follow-up. Why, comrade, I'll be coming to you. Nigerians don't seem to trust the electoral process. What's making you so optimistic?
Well, I agree with you, but recently in the just concluded National Assembly, they just finished a constitution, each zone. So it's went to different district zones to, of course, get what the public participation in constitutional reform, and majority of them harped on this electoral reform. That for us to get it right, we need to reform the electoral system. And I must agree that is Achilles' heel of the entire process. If we don't have a strong, transparent, and reliable electoral system, I know that will be quite a challenge for the any opposition party that's going to contest against the ruling party. But see, that's a problem. previous governments, Yar'Adua and Jonathan, in recognition of this fact, that Nigerians need to participate fully and determine who rules them, introduce different aspects, introduce Jonathan reform the electoral system to allow for manual registration to electoral registration. Jonathan even took it further by introducing the card reader to ensure that the Nigerians participate more in who rules them. And for the first time in the history of this country, you are now seeing a ruling party that is determined to destroy opposition. Opposition is what makes democracy what it is. The range of different opinions. For the first time, it's simply said that he's happy that the opposition is in legitimacy. If Jonathan had the same mindset, there have no APC today. Jonathan made sure that he never interfered in the way the democratic process was run in this country. The APC, the PDP and Labour Party internal issues are believed to be sponsored by external forces, probably negated by the ruling party. And the body language and utterances seems to validate that look, he is determined to destroy the opposition party so that Nigeria will be at the risk of having a one-party state. So the electoral system, I'm glad Nigerians are making noise about it. The ADC have been strategic about it, yes. They've been strategic about how to ensure that the electoral system or the reform does not affect their chances in the next election. It's a problem, and I'm glad that Nigerians are being more and more vocal about it. People are being to talk more about it and probably put more pressure on the National Assembly to do more bills that will help Nigerians have a better hold and control of who rules them in different political offices in the country.
Thank you very much. Comrade, I know you've been longing to speak,
no,
but the truth is that there's an observation. Many political actors are today jumping into the APC. Don't you foresee an implosion in the APC before the election, the 2027 election? Because strange bedfellows are flying into APC. How are you going to manage? How is your party thinking of managing it?
You see, my brother, usually it's very difficult not to wear the tag of a political party, particularly if you have had a role. When people talk about APC today and my involvement, I say some of us will be giving kudos because the argument was not just about APC. In Enugu, some of us felt there was need to engage the then ruling party. They are still in office, the PDP. I was here, I was part of the state creation, the struggle, and what we've gotten is not exactly what we had bargained to. So everybody has a reason for joining party. But again, when we talk about voting and the electoral process, it also pains me that we still in this modern time relate to voting from the arithmetic point of view. You know, how do I mean? We talk about people voting that their votes were not counted and what have you. And ours is a presidential system, which we borrowed from America. So the challenge is not whether INEC is working or whether INEC is not working. And from what my brother just said, he talked about that even the disquiet, let me use the word disquiet, in PDP and Labour is as a result of maybe some intrusion by the ruling party. The question will be, how do you have the caliber of people who allow themselves to be used? You return to the point I've made about the ADC, that under the patronage system, which America was running this system, the patronage system, until the killing of President Gayfeld. You know, when in American system then was that once a party comes into power, they even go to the extent of dismissing civil servants who were employed by the other one. The American system was borrowed from India. India started merit system before America. So the thing we have to ask ourselves is the quality of the people participating in the process that allow themselves to be used. Because when people talk about strong institution, no, there's nothing like strong institution. What you have is people who are ready to defend the values of the institutions they represent. That is one. Then on the second angle about those coming, you see, in Nigeria, people always have reason to move towards certain tendency in politics. It's not everybody that is coming may not be coming to contest the election. In fact, in Igbo, they will usually say the man that has the palm front is the one that the goat follows. And that's why the patronage people have not understood how it plays. A Kwakwanso cannot be party to a party, who is it? Atiku will pick the ticket. Kwakwanso is already scheming for the next election, not this. Kwakwanso like Buhari. In fact, after Buhari, I don't know whether any other northerner has the kind of clout. And if you remember the challenge of 12 to 3rd under Buhari, it was about Kanu. Because MPN had thought that they were going to run over Kanu. Until Aminu Kanu cleared it, and the MPN couldn't even get 25%. That was how the issue started. So Kwakwanso is keeping his vote and negotiating, just like when
there we have just few minutes.
Oh my brother,
I've got thank you.
I'm a practical analyst.
I know, but just before we go, I would not like to get to Barrister Bube. People are saying and arguing that President Tinubu is not former President Jonathan. So please analyze before we go.
Well, it was to tell that if the music changes, change your nursing step as well. It is true, it's not, and that is why people like Peter Obi recognize that Tinubu is a man that has deep influence. He's known very good at long-term strategic planning, and that is the magic. That Tinubu is a bit confused about Peter Obi. Tinubu understands the rest of them. He knows how to handle them. He has been there several times. But this is an enigma. I can't understand. A man who came with a different message. A man who came virtually in literal terms, unarmed, but was able to dismantle tanks, missiles, and the rest of them, and were able to make an impact. So Nigerians, a good Nigeria is possible.
Our friend.
ADC coalition is a reality. And so people can do it for us.
I think at this point, I want to thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I've been speaking with Comrade Fidelis Ede. He's a farmer, a lawyer, and everything. Barrister Obube, a one-time deputy governorship candidate for ABGA, and a legal practitioner. My name is Luke Uwo. Political Circle will come up tomorrow. Please find time to join us. Nigeria, we hail thee.